Welcome back, everybody. We've got two videos here. One is from YouTube, from the channel WFAA, and that's going to be this guy that we call Pig Nose.
You're not supposed to say that. That's just how I send her videos on Messenger, and she says, which one first, which one second? And so I said, Pig Nose first. And then the other one second. Oh, I didn't mean anything by it.
Okay.
He does kind of have a pig nose.
You don't say. All right, so this
his nostrils are so different sized.
Yeah.
See, he's got that one like this and then one like that. Remember when you used to put a piece of tape here and then stick it right up here?
Yes.
And then you'd make yourself have a pig nose in school?
Yes.
I feel like he did that too much because Mom always said if you do it too much, it'll stick that way. I think that's what he did.
So he's got about 30 seconds worth to talk about.
This is just going to give you a little update.
Tonight, there's new fallout from a boat strike in the Caribbean as lawmakers learn more details about the military mission. Admiral Frank Bradley met with lawmakers in a classified briefing. Democrats and Republicans have raised concerns that a second strike on an alleged drug boat may have violated the law. And some have accused Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth of dodging responsibility.
He has Bradley's back just enough to push him under the bus, which is what they are doing in effect.
These commands came from him, and I think the buck stops with him. I think you're going to find.
By contrast, President Trump is fully supporting Hegseth and the mission to disrupt drug trafficking so far.
So, an admiral had to
Ladies
go in
and
front
gentlemen,
of Congress.
Please welcome the President of the United States,
today,
the President of...
in order to give account for blowing a drug boat out of the water in the Caribbean because of the second strike, because you're just killing people then. And so that was the whole thing. Rand Paul, you know him, he's a squish libertarian. So I needed you to see that so that you understood that the Democrats want no blowing up of narco boats. They want us to do nothing about the drugs that are coming into America. It's just all shameful. Mm-hmm. So remember, I have been pretty open about me being a Democrat for a long time. I was a Democrat for many years, and I voted for Bill Clinton.
Sheesh.
And I voted for in 92, third party.
I wasn't alive, couldn't tell you.
Yeah, but I've told you all about him, Ross Perot.
There you go.
So I didn't vote Democrat, I didn't vote Republican, then I voted for Ross Perot. And present day Ross Perot is a lot like Trump, but I was a Democrat in 89, and the policies that Joe Biden spoke, or you're going to hear him speak about, I was on board with. When you hear him speak in 1989, I think you're going to understand why I was a Democrat. I don't know.
So yeah, the next video that we have here is on X, and it's from the page or account called Maze.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had this on the screen long enough that you could read through it, so we're just going to get right through to the video of Joe Biden in his own words. And I'm going to move us so we can see better.
Every president for the past 2 decades, Democrat and Republican alike, has declared war on drugs. And each of them has lost that war and lost it miserably.
He's so tan.
They lost because they attempted to deal with only part of the drug problem. They lost because their initiatives were pulled apart by bureaucratic squabbling among their advisors. They lost because they always did too little and they did it too late. We don't oppose the president's plan. All we want to do is strengthen it. We don't doubt his resolve. All we want to do is stiffen it. The trouble is that the president's proposals are not big enough to deal with the problem. We think we should do more to stem the flow of drugs across our borders, and we think we should go one step further. Let's go after the drug lords where they live, with an international strike force. There must be no safe haven for these narco-terrorists, and they must know it. We have to lock up the dealers for a long, long time, and we have to attack the source from which the drugs come. And we have to do that not a piece at a time, but all at once. And we have to do it now. And there's not any reason why we can't do that. We have the power, we have the money, and we have the knowledge.
Well, there you have it. In Joe Biden's own words.
Do you agree with him?
I do indeed.
So
Never thought I'd see the
you
day.
too
I
would be a
agreed with
Democrat
Joe
in
Biden.
1989. So that is the guy that was the president in 1989 was the first George Bush. George H.W. Bush, head CIA creep. So I never, why did I not vote for him when he was up for re-election? Because he disgusted me. I couldn't stand him. And I was a Democrat. Couldn't stand George H.W. Bush.
Gave you the heebies.
He did, and rightfully so. And
Your spirit knew.
And I was riding with Biden in 89.
Fast forward to 2025 when he's off his flippin' rocker.
So he said, and I agreed with this strategy, and that's why I loved Biden. And I watched all of the Clarence Thomas.
So did you watch this in 89 then?
Yes, I did.
So
yes,
you know
I did.
for a fact that this is real. It's not AI.
100%.
He actually said this in 89.
100%.
Okay.
Because I was in agreement. I watched all of the Clarence Thomas Senate hearings for him to be in the Supreme Court. And the one that rode him the worst was Biden. But I was there for it. I didn't want Clarence Thomas on there. I think about that right now and it shocks me. But I really was a Democrat, you guys. And I did not.
For a long time.
I believed the Anita Hill stuff. And I watched angry at that Clarence Thomas constantly. And Joe would ride in those hearings every day. And he was my hero. Joe Biden was my hero. I'm telling you that for real.
It makes me cringe to hear.
I know, but I'm being honest.
He was a different person back then. Times were different then.
But that's what you need to understand about Democrats. That was a Democrat then.
Yep.
He is speaking the way that Trump is now, but the Democrats hate Trump.
It's like the parties have switched.
How did that happen?
It's so weird.
So if you're a Democrat that agreed with Biden in 89, then you should be in the America First party with Trump, because Trump is doing now what Joe Biden said had to be done in 89.
And if we'd have done it in 89, we probably wouldn't be where we're at now.
So I don't think you have much of an excuse to continue to be in the Democrat Party, because they are just progressives. They call themselves progressives, but they're really socialist communists.
Well, they call themselves that too.
They do. There's democratic socialists as well. But the old school Democrats that like my mom and dad, that's why they were Democrats. That's why I was a Democrat.
So when did you change? What changed your mind? Do you remember the year?
I voted for Bill, and then in 2000 I kind of plugged my nose and voted for George W. Bush, because he looked like he was opposite of his father. And I thought, you know what? He's going to get in the White House and he's going to do this whole, you know what, Daddy? Because he was from Texas. You know what, Daddy? You did that. I'm going to do this. And he seemed more liberal. He seemed more Democrat than Republican to me, which wasn't true. I couldn't stand Al Gore and I couldn't stand Tipper Gore. That's why I wouldn't vote for Al in 2000, because Tipper Gore And all of her freaking censorship that she wanted on everything was enough to make me crazy. And Al Gore saying that he invented the internet when he's just a piece of crap. No, you didn't. And he talked about
What?
global. Yeah, he invented the internet in the 70s. He invented the internet.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
And I know. And then he talks about all of the global warming all the time too. So
Well,
it's
that
like,
was before fact checkers when they'd call him on not inventing the internet.
right? And so he just creeped me out. He had been Bill Clinton's vice president, but there was just something so plastic about Al Gore. And if you look at the pictures of Al Gore from 1999 and 2000, and then Tipper, oh, she was a bitch. So sorry.
What?
See, now you know why I voted Republican. Even though I didn't like George W. Bush, I couldn't stand Tipper and Al. I sat and watched those hanging chads, those pregnant chads. You all are going to know. If you know, you know. I
don't
watched
know.
every one of those. Volusia County. Oh boy. Volusia County. They were going to know. The pregnant chads. Remember the guy?
What is a pregnant Chad?
He would sit like this and then he'd look at the chad like this.
What is a Chad? I don't even know what a Chad is.
So on your ballot, we had to learn. On your ballot, this is back when you had paper ballots.
Okay.
And you had your little,
We still have paper ballots here.
what's that little thing called that you pull out of the bottom? Stylus. You had the stylus that you'd push for whoever you wanted. And if it didn't go all the way through, if it went all the way through, the little piece of paper that got popped out is a Chad.
Okay.
So if it popped out but it was hanging, it's a hanging Chad. But if the paper didn't get torn through, but there was a bump there,
It was a pregnant Chad.
it's a pregnant Chad, which means there was an intent to vote for that person if the Chad was pregnant.
What kind of whack ass names are these? They couldn't have thought of
I
something
watched
else.
it all. I don't just watch everything crazy now. I watched everything crazy back then, all the way to Ross
Right.
Perot. So I was watching the Chads in Florida because Florida was the one that did
Sounds
it all.
like riveting TV to me.
And it was
Sheesh.
something. And so George Bush won.
Checks out.
And then 9/11 happened. And
We all
then
know who did that.
into Iraq we went. And no weapons of mass destruction. I'm done. Because
Over it.
2004, who are you going to vote for? That garbage? No. You going to vote for the Democrat? No, because by that time I had the number of the Democrats. They were already spinning weird. So it's like, okay, spin weird or the monsters that only want war. What am I going to do? I'm not going to have blood on my hands. And then 2008 rolls around and the Obama train. No, and Mitt Romney in the next one after that.
Ish.
Yuck. Oh, talk about plastic man. Now we had the plastic Republican that looked like the plastic Democrat from 2000 with Al Gore. I checked out after 2000.
Yep.
And when 2004 came, I'm not gonna blood on my hands for that.
And then you didn't check back in
2008.
until George and I.
2008, nope. 2012, nope. Then my son asked me to please vote for Trump for him.
And that was the first time I got to vote ever because I was 18.
So now you
So
know
my
voting
first
history.
vote that I ever got to cast for a U.S. president, I got to vote for Donald Trump. And I was so excited because I'd followed the whole thing, watched him take Hillary down. I was working at Ave Maria in Jamestown overnight shift, so I got to watch the whole thing. We were awake when the numbers came in late in the night to
because
tell us
we
that
had
he won.
ladies that were waiting. I had two ladies that were roommates.
Yep.
One was a Republican, one was a Democrat.
Yes.
And they waited.
And I wore my Trump shirt to work. And I didn't give a two hoots what anyone had to say about it because I was proud and I was excited to be
and
a
you know
part
what?
of the conversation of politics.
Once
'cause I could vote.
we had our president, it didn't matter to those ladies that were in their 90s.
Yep.
They had been voting for
Long time.
72 years. And They celebrated that we had a new president.
Yep.
Both of them did.
And
And
they were
then-
still friends.
Yep. And then the one was able to crack her beer open
Yep.
and have her beer, and she even shared it with her Democrat
Yeah.
friend, and they split that beer. And they celebrated that we had a new president. It didn't matter to them because that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yep.
Period. We need to get back there. We need to get back where
Yeah.
that doesn't matter. We can discuss, we can debate, we can inform.
And not attack each other in the process.
No.
Because that's the issue that we have now. I talked
Yeah.
about this in the last one before this, about any time you mention something against what someone else believes, the first thing that's going to happen is a personal attack against you.
And that's because so much of what has happened over the last 20 years has truly been, people will call Candace crazy when she
Yeah.
talks about Sigmund Freud. But the psychological garbage that's been being used against us since the 60s,
It's true.
that the Trump derangement syndrome doesn't just happen. It is programmed into people.
Amen.
And it's really sad because those tricks were brought onto our population. And that's why generally, I mean, there are people in Gen X that have TDS, but generally people my age and older have seen, no, I can't say that. Nope, I'm backing up because the boomers have become programmed watching CNN and MSNBC.
Mhm.
So if you're a Gen Xer that's just not a big TV bug, then you haven't been propagandized. But the Gen Xers that are news people gotta watch CNN, MSNBC, Fox News propagandizes
I
as
don't
well.
watch any news.
So yeah, any of those news sources, CBS, NBC, ABC, 60 Minutes, Face the Nation, oh my goodness. Every week I can't watch the whole thing, but I watch bits and pieces, and it's like, holy cow. I understand how the nation is being programmed to hate, programmed for division, programmed to believe that our nation is bad instead of good. That's happening from what Grandpa called the boob tube. You watch the tube, it'll make you a boob. That's why he called it a boob tube. So
Oh, shoot.
we need to
Shut
combat
the TV
that.
off and talk with each other.
Yep, I agree.
Truly. I mean, it's what it comes down to. Talk with each other instead of talking at each other.
Exactly.
It's a whole lot of yelling at each
Right.
other and not actually communicating to listen,
Mhm.
process, and understand where the other person's coming from before immediately coming up with a rebuttal in your head.
Yep.
It's not about responding all the time. You need to learn to listen again. And I think that's a lot of our issue.
I think so too. So thank you for listening to Joe Biden from 1989.
The year Amanda was born.
Yes. And the year that I agreed with him as well.
Yeah, and mark your calendars because I agreed with Joe Biden for the first time today.
So take note of that so you can understand how everything has changed.
It's serious perspective.
Why has it changed? Yep.
It really is, especially now because I wasn't alive in 89.
Nope.
But I've seen Joe Biden of today.
Yep.
And I know how laughable everything has been now. So to rewind time and hear from his own mouth where he stood
Yep.
and me to agree with him, that's how it should be. If you hear something that's sound and that makes sense, it's okay to agree with it. I have no issue agreeing with a Democrat, especially even though it's Joe Biden. Doesn't matter to me because what he's presenting is sound logic.
Amen.
And that's what we need to remember, is that even if you disagree with someone's political stance or party doesn't mean that they might not have something that you could agree with.
And that policy that he had was spot on.
Bingo.
And it would have been a great fix. But you know what?
And we'd have been
George
ahead of the
H.W.
curve.
Bush didn't want a fix. He was a creep. He was a CIA creep.
And now here we
Period.
are.
Yep.
Until the next one.
Bye.
Bye.